I don't think the exhaust is supposed to go in that direction. Just doesn't look right. I think we're gonna have to send it back. Alright folks, welcome back to another episode of Odyssey Life. I'm Bernie and I'm alone today. And yep, you heard it right. Our exhaust doesn't fit. They sent us, I don't know if they sent us the wrong pipe. It looks like the whole setup's wrong. The pipe's too big. The first piece coming off the manifold's too big. But we'll get into that in a minute. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the work. You can see there's the pipe. I've got them sitting side by side. They kind of look the same, but if you look over here, that's not supposed to be pointing out like that. This end right here, it's just all like this piece right here. It's way different than the piece they sent us. See, it's got like this extra bend right here. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like lying to you guys when I say I don't touch this stuff unless you guys are here with me, and I opened this for the first time today, so it's kind of my fault for not fitting it up to find out. But yeah, those pieces are different. So it looks like we're going to be installing the stock exhaust for right now, which is fine. I wanted to do a comparison between an aftermarket and stock anyway, so we'll get everything on and then we'll do that, and then we'll get the new exhaust and we'll do that comparison. So yep, we're going to put the stock exhaust on. Over there's the silencer. We're going to be doing our clutch today. We did get a new Comet drive belt. All this stuff came from Comet, but it came courtesy of Joe at Odd ATV. You can check him out at oddatv.com. He's the premier place for OEM and NOS Honda Odyssey parts. Check him out. Joe's a great guy. And then we're going to try to get as much other stuff. We got the carburetor put on, or not put on, but if you notice, I got the stock air boot heated and stretched over our 39mm carburetor. And I'm going to show you when we get to installing this. I read some information online. I'll post it when we do the carburetor here in a minute, that said we might have to grind this mount right here, because when you mount the carburetor, it comes into contact with this. But I'm thinking a piece of double-sided spongy 3M tape between this and the carburetor, which will help it reduce vibration and keep it from rubbing. So alright, I'm going to get you guys set up on a tripod, and we're going to put this carburetor on, and then we're going to get the exhaust, or the clutch, and then the exhaust. Okay, so as usual, I put this wadding back in here to keep the critters or whatnot out of there. And I've got this hose clamp here that I'm going to use to keep our carburetor on. So let me grab the carb. Hey, and just in case you guys are wondering, I switched out one of my kerosene heaters with a really good one, so it is actually warm in here. I could take my sweatshirt off now if I wanted. But alright, here's our carb right here, and its glory and goodness. I haven't gone ahead and put the throttle cable in yet. We'll do that once we get it installed. I'll pop the cap off. But this is actually going to go on pretty easy. This is pretty simple. Just slides down here, and it locks into our boot. Actually, let me put that clamp on first. And we want to make sure our screw right here is pointing up so we can get to it when we want to service the carburetor. Alright, and there's a little tab at the top of the carburetor that sits right in between the two tabs on the intake manifold. So you want to put that in, make sure it's straight, which it is, and then we can go ahead and tighten up our clamp. But I'm not going to do that right yet, because we will still have to adjust this one to mount into our stock airbox. I also did some investigation not investigation, but research. I wanted to find out the benefits of doing an airbox delete and get one of those fancy schmancy, super expensive $5 pipes with a $70 K&M air filter. And almost every information I read from credible racing establishments that deal with two-strokes, they recommend a K&N filter in the stock airbox. So I'm just keeping the stock airbox. We're gonna run the hose and put our breather up here. I think it looks better anyway, and I want to save on the dirt and debris getting into our engine by pulling air from down here as opposed to up top. I think we're going to get less debris if we use the stock setup, so we're going to give it a whirl. We'll do a comparison. I'll go ahead and get one of those fancy schmancy intakes and we'll see what happens. So alright, let me grab the air box and we'll get that done. Give me a second. Well, give you a little look of what it looks like from the side. I got to tuck all those vent lines down underneath. Let me walk over here so you can see, and I'll show you the tab at the top that I was talking about. Right there, there's these two tabs on the intake boot and that tab on the carburetor. That lets you know that your carburetor is sitting parallel or straight up and down. This the boot's crooked. I need to adjust it, slide it over, and I read that it will, and I'll post that right now. It's a thread. It's a thread from like 17 years ago, from a chat room back when, you know, online was cool, I guess, and you can read it. And it said that you might have to adjust this a little bit, but this will all line up. So let's see. Alrighty, so as I said, we had to adjust this, and it was just had to be turned about a ½ an inch so it lines up with this. And then that will connect into that. But before we do that, I had to get our big clamp. This is NOS from Joe at Odd ATV. There's a big one that goes on this top of the boot, and there's a little one for the 32mm carb that goes on here, and they're listed on his website as big one and little one. So I did go ahead real quick and just wanted to make sure that everything was going to fit before I went and tried to tell you that it was going to fit. And just like the posting that I showed you said, it fits perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to get this air box on real quick and get that plumbed in, and yeah. Okay, so we have our big clamp here. Take our air box off. I'm going to put the clamp on, cinch it up a little bit. All these, or I don't know about this one, is a Phillips head screwdriver. I didn't bring one of those over. Got one now. Alright, now I'm going to position the screw so I can get at it. This is always a pain in the butt. I'm gonna loosen it up all the way to the last thread so it slips down over our boot. Because the problem always is trying to get this air box to fit down over the boot. And there's two little clips right here on the front that slide right over this bar. So you want to go ahead and slide that in, and then this will slide right down, right into place, like so. And it's tight, guys. Looks really good. I'm real happy about this. You know, I did say in the beginning that I wanted to keep this machine as stock as possible because I really dig the stock look. That's why I really like the information about going with the stock airbox. We don't need to try to squeeze every ounce of horsepower out of our machine. It's okay to have stockness with the goodness hiding underneath. You know, with a nice K&N air filter here, it's gonna work just fine. the important part is just to make sure that both ends of the boot are tight and your intake is sealed, because you definitely don't want to suck in air or have an intake leak. And that's good. We are tight, which is good stuff. And then I have our air filter right here and the wing nut, and it was surprising because I took this thing apart months ago. This air filter I took off over a year ago, and for the life of me I couldn't, this wing nut is always the first thing to get lost, and it ended up in a change jar in my bedroom. Have no idea how it got there. But to put the let me bring you over here. All right, let me get you down here, show you what we did. And yeah, right here, that's where we want to get it cinched up to the bottom of our air box, and we're sitting exactly where we want to be. And then there's, I believe they're 10mm bolts that go in right here. And then that's our stock air box installation. And I didn't grab a wrench. Let me see. I know that's the 10 right there. Nope, that's an 11. I could tell by the weight. Let's see, is that the one? Yep, that's the one. Let me grab my ratchet. Alright, it's really kind of hard to do this with one hand. Alright. I just wanted you to see what was in here. We get our 10mm socket, and these holes should line right up. And they don't. There we go. Just had to slide it over a bit. Oops. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. If anybody knows where I can get a new hose that goes from the air box to the breather at the top, hit me up on Messenger. Go to Facebook, Odyssey Life Facebook group, or you can get my Gmail address in the comments below. I was just gonna use a sweeper hose of the right diameter, but I'd really like to have the stock one. So if somebody has one, let me know. All right. Well, that's our stock air box installation. Let's go ahead and tighten up our clamp on the carburetor, which, because I positioned it correctly, we can get right to it. That carb looks good down there. Make sure our clamp's on straight, and it is. Alright. And you don't want to crush your intake, your intake. So be careful when you're tightening down your hose clamp so you don't tear through. And since we don't have a new K&N air filter yet, I'm going to go ahead and just put this one back in here, because it's not greasy and it's relatively clean, and I believe this is probably the stock filter. I'm telling you guys that this thing was garage kept in a warm garage in the Rocky Mountains. This is like the diamond in the rough. I was very fortunate to find this machine. So we put our wing nut on, and we're ready for the box top. If I remember where I put it. Oh, there it is. And if you know where I can get one of these wing nuts, I'm missing this wing nut right here. If I go back out to the place where I stored it over the winter last year, I could probably find it because it's on the barn floor. I know it is, but where I had it stored, the person didn't take very good care of my things, and he's just terrible. It's a story for another day. All right, so let's get these tightened up, and we're good to go, gentlemen. As you can see, we have our clutch sitting here. This is our new Duster 94C Comet clutch. The coolest part about it is that sticker right there is just epic. I love it. I can't wait to find a place to put it. And then the little Comet sticker. And then you see these two bolts right here. It's because one of them is the bolt that comes with the clutch. That's this one. And this isn't, the thread pattern on this one is different. Because this clutch can go on, what, 500 different machines. They just sent this bolt, but we're going to use our stock Salisbury clutch. You can use a combination of these two brand new washers and the lock washer, or the original washer with a lock washer. We're going to use the stock washer with the new lock washer and our stock bolt to put this clutch on. It's going to go right in there. As you can see, I already have the drive belt threaded through our pulley in the back. So all we have to do is slide our new clutch in and tighten her down. Well, I had a long conversation with Joe from Odd ATV about this clutch. And I called him because he gave me some part numbers, and he said that even though this is a 94C, it's modified, and he had the part number. He said this one's vented, and there's something else. There was something else done to this clutch, and he had a different part number. It's still a 94C, but there's a different part number associated with it. So I'll get that for you. There we go. That's all there was. Slide it in, put it over, slide it up snug, and get our bolt and our washers. They thread right in from the side. It's real simple. You can, we will be doing a clutch comparison video between this one and the Salisbury one. This bolt is a 17 millimeter, and I've already got it on the impact. Just want to run it in with my fingers real quick. Hopefully I can get in there. Actually, I take the extension off. Alright. And then we're just going to hammer this home. There. That's our new clutch, guys. All done. Well, that's clutch, carb, airbox. Next is the exhaust. So the exhaust is just about as simple as the clutch. You have 2 springs and 4 12 millimeter bolts. So really all you need to do all you need to have to do this job is a 12 millimeter wrench, a pair of vice grips. So I ordered 2 new springs, which gives us an extra stock spring if we need one. And I couldn't even tell you, I don't even remember where I got these. Probably that our favorite jungle website. So I took the blue covers off because in the move, for some reason, the 4 bolts for these and the 4 bolts for the other one are the only pieces that got lost in the mix. I know I had them, I shoved them somewhere, and I will find them. So basically this just slides up, slides right onto our manifold, and then we take our spring, attaches to the top of our manifold, and then a pair of needle nose pliers. There's that. And then we have a couple bolts to put in. So we have 4 stock mounting locations for this exhaust. We have one over here, and these are threaded, so you just have to line the pipe up and put the bolt through, and it'll engage the threads. There. Oops, that one we got to use a wrench. So we need a 12mm wrench. There. Hopefully the next 3 aren't this tough. Alright, and I went ahead off camera only because, I don't know, I wanted to make sure it was going to fit without removing the air box. I slid the silencer around through the back, and this is the one, they connect to each other. So I should have put those 2 together first before I tighten this all the way. Let me loosen it up. We can, there we go. We're winning. And just, there we go. I'm gonna line this bolt up for the silencer before I put the spring on. This one. Just had to pick up on it a little bit, sorry. There we go. We've got thread engagement. Alright. Tighten this bad boy down. Told you guys, we're slapping this bad boy back together. Oh, I'm so excited. This is like a dream come true. Like, this machine looked beautiful when I bought it, but I didn't realize, you know, it needed the 35-year-old makeover. That's what it needed. She needed some love and tender care, and I'm just afraid that the ooh, that's a different size altogether. That the 17-year-old kid that blessed us with this really didn't know what he was giving up. I don't know, guys. It looks like this this bolt must be an after add-on because it's just a tad bit too long and it won't thread in past a certain point. Let me grab our last spring. Snap. We are golden. Oh man, this is an accomplishment. The last thing we have to do is thread our throttle and connect our choke. So, and real quick before we go do the exhaust or the carburetor, I wanted to show you the mounting points back here where the silencer is. You have one right there. You can see it down in the crack there. And you have one right there. There are the two mounting points for the silencer. Then it dumps out there. Okay, so to do the throttle cable and everything, you just unscrew, grab your spring, and oh man, I didn't pull the slide out. I guess I'll have to fish it out if I can get it sliding right up. Might have to use 2 fingers. Oops. Come on, man. Alright. And here's our slide and our needle and our spring and our cap. So what I want to do is I want to thread this right down through here. Oops. I guess we'll pick that up in a second. So this just screws right on here. I mean now, and that is the stock Fl350 throttle cable, and that Keyhin carb cap screws right on, no problem. Let me grab that spring that fell. So if you see in there, there's that bolt there. Man, oh man, I can't catch a break today. No, that's because I'm not locking the sockets on. Okay, so we just want to get in there. This is the first time I've ever taken one of these apart. I guess the difference between a D slide and a round slide is the amount of distance the fuel has to travel from the back side of the carburetor to the inside. It greatly reduces the distance. You can also get a flat slide, which I heard they are the best for throttle response. So let me set these down without having to pick them up off the floor. All right. Now I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me see. There we go. See, there's 5 notches. 1, 2, mine sits in the middle, or that one sits in the middle. That's where you want it if you're below 5,000 feet. If you're above 5,000 feet, you want to move it up one, and if you're above, I think 7,500 or 10,000, you want to move it up to the top one. All right. So now that we confirmed that our needle is in fact in the right place, we can go ahead and put this throttle cable holder back in place. Go ahead, and this is the part of the spring I was telling you about. I don't know if you can see that white nubbin right there. That will line up with your throttle cable slot, and it locks your throttle cable in place. That was the clip I was telling you about. All right. So again, the frustrating process of compressing the spring enough to have enough slack. There. Now we're good. Everything went down inside properly. Now we can go ahead and drop this right down in the top of our carb. Send that bad boy home. All right. Let's test our throttle response. We've got full range of motion. That's an installed carburetor. Now all we have to do, the last thing, is put our choke in. I couldn't find a place with the tripod so you could see this. Right there. This is our choke, and I don't know if you can see, but it screws right in there. So I'm gonna go ahead, yeah, right there. I'm gonna go ahead, grab a wrench, and get that stabbed in there. Okay, so I went and I got the choke tightened down, buttoned up. That's perfect. And while I was off camera real quick, guys, I just wanted to get a little bit of this tedious little stuff done. I reattached our pull cord to the frame. I reran all of our electrical up here, plugged in everything, made sure everything was tucked into its spot. Got all of our cables all where they needed to be, all bundled together, looking nice with all the proper clamps. Things are coming along. I was just going through my head everything that I have to do to start it. Put the balancing oil in. I want to change the transmission oil, and I have to get a spark plug. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, or ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be honest. This week moving wiped me out financially. I don't even have enough money for a spark plug, and I'm not gonna try to turn it over without being properly, prepared to start it. So we're gonna have to wait till next week. So if you stick with me for a second, we'll get to the outro. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how about that for a day's work? Carb, clutch, exhaust. I know you're disappointed because we didn't go for the first fire, but I already explained to you why. I'm not going to rush around and damage something just to hear something run, because there's going to be so many days after we get this thing put together that we're just going to be riding and enjoying life. So we can wait another day. It's already been, I didn't even think about it. I keep saying last year. Now, this is its second winter in Pennsylvania. I didn't realize that. Time flies so fast. So I really appreciate you guys coming. Don't forget social media links in the description, as well as a Gmail account if you guys want to contact me directly. I do respond, as I said before. And our good friend Joe over at Odd ATV, don't forget him. His www.oddatv.com. That's ODDATV.com for all your NOS and OEM Odyssey parts. Great guy. I love Joe. Talk to him all the time. So I don't know, guys. I'm excited. We're slapping this bad boy back together, and pretty soon it's going to be riding time. And then phase 2 of Odyssey life is going to kick on, and that's where you guys benefit. So if you're interested in that and you like FL350 content, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to comment, and I'll see you next week.